Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night to anyone wherever you are in the world. And I am Zero. We're going to be drawing the rest of this rat pick that I started last week. Got a lot of good ratties here. If you weren't here last week, we are drawing this for the Lunar New Year, which will be bringing us around to a new cycle. Can you believe it? A new decade, a new cycle in the zodiac thingy-majigger. And it's a rats. It's the time for the rodents to arrive. And yeah, we're just gonna be finishing up the lines on this and coloring it. And last week, since we ran out of time, I started doing this kind of sketchy line art. So I think it's looking pretty good, and I think we can just keep going with it rather than try to make it, like kind of pointless to then outline what's essentially pretty clean already. But yeah, that's what I'm going to be working on today. I hope everyone had a good Monday and has something that you brought along to do as we just chill out and draw some art. Tables, hello from the other side. Thank you. How you doing? Welcome. And Nyx is here with rats. Yep. We drawing some rats. Or rather, we're finishing off some rats. And I don't know if I'm gonna do anything interesting with the coloring, honestly. I'll try to make it kind of New Year's-y, but the sort of general world New Year's aesthetic, the sort of I guess the American aesthetic with the red, white, and blues or fireworks. Is that New Year's, or is that just 4th of July? Either way, I always think of like New Year's as having fireworks, and I guess fireworks just makes me think of 4th of July. But yeah, with the silly glasses and stuff, the glasses that sort of look like the year that we're entering in. It's like night. I'm thinking like blue-ish night looks. But when I think of Chinese New Year, I think a lot more reds, a lot more red and orange color. I guess fireworks still, but I think more like lanterns and those kind of doohickeys. So I don't know. I'm definitely going for more of a fireworks champagne American New Year with this image, which maybe I should have done differently, but it's a little late now because all the rats are already drunk. Well, we'll see what happens with the colors. I don't think I'm gonna add any fireworks in the background. I don't really particularly like drawing fireworks. They're not they don't make sense to me. Nyx is like, shinies Zero. All of them are shinies. The Meryl in the background. The big looming Meryl. Meryl is big. I know we're like scaled down to the rat size because, Raichu and Raticate are the biggest things in this image. But Meryl's right up there with them, and I wasn't sure where to put Meryl. I kind of want to do something different with Raichu's arm. I feel like it's kind of mimicking Sandshrew down here a little too much. I don't like having those two right next to each other, so I'm trying to think of something to do with that. Nick says, I thought New Year's was all metallic colors. Tail says, I kind of like that it's a mix of both. Rats for the Chinese New Year, but American traditions. Yeah, we got our homegrown Asian American style New Year thing. Do y'all have y'all had mooncakes? Do you guys have mooncakes when it gets around New Year's Lunar New Year time? I used to love mooncakes, but since we always get them every year, it's like I don't know, it's a little too sweet for me, and sometimes you get a really bad one because there are different flavors too. I particularly like the ones with the egg yolk. It's usually like a salted duck egg, so it kind of balances the sweetness a bit with its I don't know how to describe, like it's like this sort of eggy texture, crumbly texture that it gives. But yeah, the lotus seed flavor ones are good. They're not too sweet, but you get the red bean paste one, and that's a little too much for me. I'm not a big fan of red bean paste, and I'm talking about like the sweet kind you get in mochi. One time I went to the store. I had never purchased red bean paste, but I know my mom has bought them, so I got me a can of red bean paste from the Giant, and when I brought it home, I dug my spoon into it and took a big old bite, thinking it was gonna be sweet. Oh boy, oh boy. No, those were Mexican red beans, and they were not sweet. So yeah. But it's gotta have a lot of stuff around it, I think. You gotta put the red bean on something else that doesn't have any flavor, like mochi. And it kind of balances it out. Red bean paste, Nyx likes it too. And Tails is like, oh no. Tails says, I want to try mooncakes. I recommend the lotus seed flavored kind, but I don't know, the egg is a little weird for some people. You know, like it's not weird in the sense that like there's usually egg in baked sweets like cakes and stuff, but it's weird in that it's literally just an egg yolk. Like you boil an egg, you dig out the yolk, you open your cake up, mash it in the cake, and then close it up, and that's what they've done essentially. So usually when you get a mooncake, you cut it into fours. You get your mooncake and then you cut it into fours, and if you're lucky, you have an egg yolk in each of these halves. So each one has a little bit of the yolk in it. Sometimes you're a little unlucky and you get like a nick of an egg there, and you hardly get any in those, and then this one and this one have like way too much egg. So yeah, it's a little hard to tell because you can't really see it until you've cut into it, but I like it. Gotta have something to drink with it though. Tea or milk is always my favorite to go with it. Something to wash it down, because the cake itself is less a cake and more like a I don't want to say paste, because it's not like soft. It's what would be a close equivalent? Like, it's harder than cheesecake, but if you think of that sort of like pasty sort of cake. That's what it is. It's not crumbly or bready, you know. Gonna put his foot right there. Maybe his tail sort of up there. You know, sometimes when you draw an animal, you can be tempted to just make the tail come out in the place that it looks closest to the bum, but honestly, if you're drawing it more from the front angle, the tail will probably appear coming out a little bit higher up out of the back, because the base of the tail would get covered by the bum. The bum is a solid 3D object that will block part of the tail off. So rather than like putting it from down here, putting it up here makes it go more into the spine, as it should. Let's see. Okay, so I could have Raichu like holding would it be weird? Like actual wine? Oh no, Zero, no. Rip. How did you survive? How can you taste anything? It's not like terrible, it's just pre-tell the okay. Okay, so Mouse, you know, hi Virus Bass. Awesome work. Thank you so much. Mouse, you know how in Asian snacks, Asian treats, there's like red bean paste is a very sort of popular flavor. You can get it in mochi and stuff. It's a sweet paste made out of beans. Very sweet. My mom likes to buy them in little bags of paste and like squeeze them out into sticky cake. But yeah, so like I went to the store one time when I was young because I had a hankering. Sometimes you get a hankering and you just gotta go out and buy the thing that you're hankering for. I went out and got some sweet tart chews the other day just for no reason. Anyway, so this was like years and years ago. I went out to the store, the Giant down the street, because I wanted to eat some red bean paste for no reason whatsoever. I don't even like red bean paste all that much, so I don't know what I was thinking. But I got a can. I got home and I opened it up and I stuck my spoon in it and I took a big old bite. And yeah, that was not the red bean paste I was looking for. I had accidentally bought myself a can of Mexican beans. It's like, I know a lot of there are people who really like beans. I'm not one of those people. I'm not a big fan of having like just straight up eating beans. I asked for no beans on my Chipotle. I'm not a huge fan of chili just because the beans. So yeah, that was not a happy time. But yeah, I was talking about New Year's treats for Lunar New Year with the moon cakes and stuff. And then of course, we all get what we call hongbao, which is literally red bag. It's not really a bag, it's like a little envelope, but it's a little red envelope, and the older members of the family will give them to the children, and they have little monies inside. And at Chinese school, we would always get a dollar coin. They would give each kid a dollar coin, which was like infinitely valuable to a child, because what? Dollars are supposed to be paper, you know? It's just like weird. It's like, where do you get it? It's like $2 bills, you know? Like if you get a hold of one, it's just really cool. I never spent a single dollar coin as a kid. I would just hoard them like a dragon in my lair. And then they started like putting like presidents on them. That was the day. Virus says, here in South America, bean meals are very common and varied. There's a lot of types and better ways to cook them. I have a friend in Mexico, and he always says like, "Oh, you just haven't had beans the right way. When you come visit, I'll cook you some beans, and you'll like them." But it's like I've had beans all sorts of ways, and I know there are different kinds and stuff. There's just something about the inherent earthy flavor and the heartiness of a bean that, like, I don't know, it fills me up too much, I think. It's too filling too fast, and then I kind of lose my appetite because I'm not a big eater. I can get full very fast if I'm not careful. I can also eat for a long time because I'm a slow eater, so it could appear as though I'm eating a lot. And I can put away several slices of pizza, but I always my eyes are always bigger than my stomach, as they say. And I tend to get too much. Buffets, if I go to buffets, I have to crave the food and then go at it. But yeah, so I have this problem where if I'm full, or if I'm just simply not hungry, nothing is appetizing to me. I guess it's not a problem as much as it is just the natural course of things, like that's what's supposed to happen. But it becomes a problem when I wake up in the morning and I'm not hungry because my metabolism hasn't started yet, and so I'm like, I'm not gonna make lunch because I don't want to look at food, I don't want to prepare food, I don't want to like consider the possibility of eating food because I'm not hungry. And then the problem is, as soon as I get to work, I'm hungry. It's like a matter of 30 minutes. And it's like if I had just prepped the food. Also the fact that I just wake up and I'm like tired and not in the mood to do anything is probably part of it. But yeah, that's a regular occurrence for me, unfortunately, is not having food because I forgot that hunger will kick in later. What usually helps is I will prepare food the night before and just put it in the fridge. And if I can have food already there, I don't have to like think about it. I just grab it, toss it in my bag, and like go. Then it's really nice to have food later on in the day. Isn't that a novel concept? But yeah, I have yet to have a bean dish that I'm super fan of. It's not like so like I'm not grossed out by beans. I will eat it if it's on my plate, you know? It's just I get full so fast with them that I always leave with a poor experience with them, I think is the problem. Like the smell makes me full. And every culture has their like own staple. So I know the South America is very big into beans. Um, in Asian families, we're big into rice. Uh, I really like bread. Just give me a nice toasted white bread or a baguette. Ah, so good. Alright, I'm gonna color in these stripes. I should have left them uncolored so I can color them brown later, but I accidentally colored Pikachu's over here. So I'm just gonna carry it over. Which doesn't make any sense because they would technically be the same color as the feet. I don't know what's happening with this foot. We'll just have to deal. Viruses is it's a rat year drawing. Yes, they're celebrating the new year with a glass of champagne and a clink. Don't worry, the baby is drinking ketchup. Pikachu brought some ketchup for the baby. Viver says we have many things in common with Mexico, but here, for example, spicy food is way less popular. Even Chinese and Arab food is made mild for the Chilean taste that usually don't like spicy food. I know it's ironic since my country is named Chile. Oh, Chilean. Okay, sorry, I mispronounced that. I love rice. I could eat it every day. I'm a white bread girl. So, I'm also I like my rice white. The brown rice has the same problem to me as beans in that it's like really filling. You can like taste it. I like the taste, the mild sweetness and just, you know, plainness of white rice. It goes well with so many things, and it's not like, you know, it's got like, I don't know, it's weird to say I like it for being like, for not standing out, but it does have its own flavor, and I like it for the flavor. It's just not a strong flavor. I don't know how to say it. Do you guys like dry rice or sticky rice? Like, do you like your rice to be kind of on the wetter side, or do you like it to be falling apart? The Chinese restaurants here, the fast food Chinese, in America, they always have like sort of a leftover rice kind of like texture to their fried rice, which is really nice. I love fried rice that's just crumbly and each grain, like, you know, comes up. So authentic Chinese fried rice, she always makes it slightly too wet for my sensibilities. Which is, it's kind of bad that like I get authentic Chinese food at home every day, and yet I crave the Panda Express sometimes. I have hankerings for the processed fast food. I'll go and like buy the microwave meals. I love trying different microwave meals. They're never great, but they're like, it's fun. And I'm not even doing it for science really, because I don't write down my discoveries or like record any sort of opinions on them. So the next time I go, I've forgotten which brand I like, or like which flavor I prefer, and I might just accidentally buy the same one again. I have bought things for science. I don't know if you know those basil seed drinks that they have at some international marts. We have a store here called Lotte, and another one called H Mart. And they have like international drinks and foods and stuff, and they have these basil seed drinks that's in a glass bottle that's sort of this shaped. and it's a juice, and suspended in the juice are these, I think they're chia seeds. No, they're basil seeds, because that's what's on the package. So it's got to be basil seeds, but they're like chia seeds in that they produce this sort of gooey film around them. Each seed is surrounded by a little sack of goo that like makes it look like a frog egg. And there's just like a bunch of them suspended in the liquid, and you drink it, and kind of crunch them before you swallow. You don't have to. They're small enough that you can just swallow whole, but I like to crunch on them. But they have like several flavors. They have a milky banana flavor one, banana coconut flavor one that I actually kind of like. I got it just completely on a let's try this basis, and surprisingly I think it might be my favorite of the bunch so far. But there's also like kiwi flavor, there's a watermelon flavor which we haven't tried yet, there's apple flavor, rose flavor. I don't like rose flavor stuff, but my friend really does, so that one's apparently really good if you like rose. Virus says they like both types of rice. Mouse likes dry rice. Oh no, Mouse says dry rice is awful. It depends on how it's served. Like jasmine rice, I think the long grain is kind of nice when it's a little on the drier side, but there are other kinds of rice that would probably not be as palatable if it's dry. And I don't mean like dry as in like crunchy. Like it's still cooked and soft, and like, warm and steamy and stuff, just not mushy, like squished together. You probably, if you try to pick it up with your chopsticks, it'll crumble out of them a little too much. I like both too for different occasions. Add a little more water and you get porridge, rice porridge, which is great. A great compliment if you're eating dumplings, because I always put too much soy sauce on my dumplings, so the sort of water flavor of a rice porridge really helps balance that out. But when it comes to fried rice, I like it dry. Fried rice, give it to me crumbly and dry. And then if it's too dry, you pop that stuff in some oil and you get some delightful puffed rice, which is a delicious little snack. Alright, I'm gonna get this tail in somehow. Maybe it's too low down. Azrael and Meryl looked very similar to me as a kid, and I used to really dislike Pokemon that share very close design elements that look almost identical. I'm talking about Poliwrath and Poliwhirl type designs. So like, if you look really closely, you can tell the difference. But to my, my child's eyes, and also the fact that the only instance I could see these Pokemon in was essentially in the games, which had like 1 or 2 sprites per Pokemon, or in this little, what was it? It was like a Pokemon handbook, I think is what it was called, where it was basically a Pokedex. Each Pokemon had its own page and then a little dex entry and some of its stats. So yeah, like, there was no like internet. People weren't like drawing fan art and posting them and stuff. I didn't really watch the anime much as a kid. I did see a lot of episodes, but it was like scattered, so I don't remember seeing the Poliwhirl, Poliwrath episodes. But I always complained as a kid, like, Poliwhirl and Poliwrath look exactly the same. There's like no difference. And there's a lot of Pokemon like that that I would complain about. So like Meryl and Azurill both being really round blue boys, I felt the same way. But nowadays, I really like when it's very similar, as well as when it changes a lot. I like picking out the differences. And as a kid, I was much more number blind than I am now in my wise old age. So the fact that Pokemon would get bigger also wasn't something that I was cognizant of. You know, the fact that Azurill is like a wee little blip of a Pokemon, like a tiny fit in your pocket as is type Pokemon, and Meryl is like a 2-foot tall orb, that wouldn't have been something I would have considered when judging the design. And I think, Clefairy and Clefable was another one that just like drove me crazy as a kid, because I literally couldn't tell the difference. Nowadays, it's like there are some anatomical differences that they push, especially in the anime. Something about Clefable's feet is really strange. They're like very much disassociated with the rest of its body, I feel like. And also Clefable's like wildly bigger than Clefairy, and I feel like that should be enough of a, it's not enough if all that changes in your evolution is that you look the same but now you're bigger. But it is definitely an aspect of the growth. And yeah, I wouldn't have thought, Clefable is bigger than Clefairy. To me as a kid, I would just be like, they're the same. They're literally like nothing changed. Virus asks, have you seen some cartoon or anime recently? I've just watched the first episode of The Owl House, and I love it. Also, Dorohedoro, and an anime about schoolgirls making animation with a very alternative look. I haven't heard of any of these animes, so I will Google them after the stream. Right now I am currently watching Miraculous Ladybug with some friends, and I only watch anime with friends if I can help it, because the aspect of having to wait for someone else so that we can participate in this together keeps me from just binging my life away, because I will do that. What I what I will do is I will just watch without end until I literally pass out at like 4 a.m. and then I wake up and start watching again. So like it's starting new shows is very dangerous for me. My friends are helping me watch through Miraculous Ladybug, which is like it's essentially a Pixar-styled anime made in France. I say Pixar-styled rather than 3D anime because in Japan right now the style of CG anime is very distinctive in that they try very hard to make it look like 2D anime for whatever reason. They put shaders on everything. They model the eyes in a way that makes it supposed to. If you think of Wooby or Ruby with a W, by Rooster Teeth, that's sort of the style that I'm talking about. It's all the rage in Japan right now. And I think, no, sorry, I can't remember the name. Another one. Oh, come on. I can't remember the name. It's the one with the cat girls. It's an anime about animals, but everyone's a cat girl. Not a cat girl specifically, but like everyone's a girl and an animal girl of some kind. That one is like that kind of style. It's not bad. It's just I'm not used to it, and it can be bad when not done mindfully. The cat girl one I actually kind of want to watch, but not enough that I would like actually watch it. But I've heard some good things about it. But yeah, no, like Ladybug is much more this is CG animation, and it's very anime in that it's like magical girl transformations. It's as anime as, how do I say this? It's as anime as Teen Titans was, you know? Like, it's not made in Japan, but it's clearly in, like, the creators clearly watch anime and were inspired by that aesthetic. It's like Avatar: The Last Airbender, you know? In spirit. It's a spiritual anime. But the animation is doing its own thing. It doesn't read as though it's trying to be anime. It's it looks really good. And I mean, like some of the movements are a little stilted, but it's not got a movie budget, you know. So they're doing a great job. The voice acting for the dub is great. We're watching the English dub instead of the French, and oh man, all the voice actors are great. The dialogue is great. The interactions of the characters are great. It's a great show. We're almost done. It's 3 seasons in. Should Raichu... I'm sorry, I'm like drawing under you guys again, am I? Aren't I? Hello, Money! Money comes in saying, I know what anime you're talking about, can't remember the name. Tail says, wait, did I miss Ladybug talk? Miraculous Ladybug is such a masterful mix of the magical girl and superhero genres. Send tweet. I cannot watch the French dub. Plag's voice kills me. It's so funny because he's got a really annoying voice in the English dub too, but it's like charming annoying rather than like grating. Like it's clearly a grating voice. The way that the voice is objectively like he talks very, very scratchy in the throat. But somehow he does it in a way that's like fun to listen to. and even Plag himself is very cute. Keep your hands off Izoken. Is that an anime? I don't know. I have asked another friend of mine if we can watch an anime together, and I think we decided to watch... We haven't started yet, but we're going to watch... What is it called? The Eccentric Family? I think the title's probably a little longer, but it's an anime about a family of tanuki who live in Japan. And if you don't know, tanuki are raccoon dogs, but in Japan, in Japanese mythology or culture or folklore is the word I'm looking for. In Japanese folklore, tanuki have the power to shapeshift, along with like foxes or kitsune. So like even though they're real world animals, they also have like mystical qualities to them. And so these tanuki are living as... They've like transformed themselves into just a generic anime boy and family. And they're just living in Japan. And there are other Japanese creatures, like the Tengu is one of the characters. And they all have sort of like a normal human persona that looks slightly like their folklore counterpart. Like the Tengu has like a big old nose and white hair, I think. I haven't seen any of it. I haven't heard of it in a long time, ever since it was like it was on someone's recommendation list on YouTube. But it looks delightful. I still haven't finished Nichijou. I really need to finish Nichijou. That should be the next one on my list. I'm not watching, everyone wants me to watch Demon Slayer. And I'm not watching it because, my friend wanted to wait for more, seasons to come out before we tackle that one. And then another friend of mine, like a completely different, friend circle, with no prompting from me, also asked if we could watch an anime together, something that we've never done before, and suggested Fire Force. Has anyone seen Fire Force? Because I was really on board with it when he first suggested it, because like firefighting nuns with superpowers, that sounds interesting. But, and like, I had heard good things about it when it first came out. You know, a lot of anime YouTubers will do sort of a, what is it called? Hold on, let me look up what Sandshrew looks like. Sandshrew. Sort of like a, their first impressions of a show based on the first 3 episodes. So, like, I saw a couple of those, and Fire Force was getting some good reviews. People were saying it has a great aesthetic. It was made by... Is it made by the people who did, like, Soul Eater? I can't remember. But it had, like, a good pedigree. It seemed like it was doing great. But recently, I've heard word that it gets a little ecchi later on. Like, it really drops some fan service in a distasteful way, and I don't think I want to watch a show like that. I've already been bitten one too many times by Fairy Tail in that regard, so I think my threshold for not threshold, because I haven't seen any of it yet. My tolerance for such visuals is a little low. I'm usually pretty good at being able to look past that kind of stuff if the story's still good, if the characters are still good. But I don't know, I'm just not in the mood right now. So if that's the case, probably will skip Fire Force, even though the animation does look great and the premise seems hilarious. But we might be picking another anime. He's suggested Tokyo Ghoul as the follow-up, because he doesn't watch anime at all. He hasn't seen anything, basically, which makes me just want to, like, throw good stuff at him for us to watch, but I'm also not kind of in the mood right now to, like, rewatch stuff, so, honestly, I wanted to watch Fire Force as, like, even if it's bad, it would be interesting. Tokyo Ghoul seems a little emo to me, like, gritty, like, a little, too grit your teeth, type, but I don't know. If we end up watching that one, I'll let you know what I think, but I have friends who really like Tokyo Ghoul. It just doesn't, it's never seemed like the kind of show I would be into. There's a, what's it called? Noragami, I think, is one that I'm kind of interested. Maybe I'll suggest that one, see if he wants to watch that one. It's the one where it's like a god of what's he a god of? God of menial labor? I don't know. It's another one where it's a fun premise and the animation looks okay. So I'll ask if he wants to see that one. I'm not quite in the mood for something as popcorn as Seven Deadly Sins right now. Seven Deadly Sins was another one that was on my watch list, but since discovering it, I've heard not great things about it. Not terrible things, just not great things. Like, apparently it's very just middle of the road shonen garbage, which I love me some shonen garbage, don't get me wrong. As for anime I've been watching, I'm not caught up with My Hero, but that's the one that I'm following currently, as it comes out. I say as it comes out, I'm never really, like, fully caught up with it. Okay, I'm finally done with Sandshrews' terrible sort of brick pattern. Sorry if I was under the chat again. I always forget to, like, move it over when I'm working on stuff. Money says, oh man, the guy who voices Plag also voices Saitama from One Punch Man. That's very interesting. I haven't been keeping up with One Punch Man since season 2 apparently isn't great. I'd rather just read the manga if the animation isn't like woo. Money says, need to watch Fairy Tail again, stopped after Tenro Island arc. Early Fairy Tail was really good. I really enjoyed it. I really appreciated it. It was one of those shows where I actually appreciated that, like, the way it told its story and the characters, and just, like, I felt like it was really good for kids. But later Fairy Tail, no, don't show this to kids. I stuck around with Fairy Tail way longer than I should have, and then eventually just ran. I didn't even give up on it. I ran out of the dub. The dub wasn't, like, fully caught up, so I didn't have anything else to watch anymore. So I had to wait for the dub to come out, and then I just dropped off, because it's like I was going along because I was hooked, but once I fell off because I had to wait, I couldn't get back in, you know? Once you fall off the wagon, it's gone. It's out there. Virus says, what about Beastars? I've heard a lot about Beastars. It's like, I don't know how it happened, but Beastars is like the new hottest thing. Will I watch Beastars? The animation, the style is strangely appealing to me. And I'm not saying that as like, you know, like I'm not a furry, okay? What I'm saying. It's like, it's ugly to me in a way that's like appealing. I don't know how to say it. When I was a kid, I was adamant against the whole animals on human body kind of style. But when you push it to the extreme, like what Beastars is doing, it's like they're not even trying anymore, and it becomes its own thing. Like, it's no longer an anthropomorphic character, it's just a person, only they have an animal head. What was it? BoJack Horseman was like the same style, where they're literally just people, but this guy happens to have a horse head. Oh man, and in in BoJack Horseman, the birds still fly. Like, the birds are, imagine like a guy in a suit, but then replace the head with a bird head. But then the man flaps his like man arms and his like man hands, and he flies and makes like pigeon noises. It's so absurd, and I love it. But I don't know if I would watch Beastars. It seems a little too self-serious to me. And there are times for those kind of shows. I don't know if I'm quite there yet. I think I'm still down for some more something enjoyable, something that is not trying to make me think quite as hard as Beastars seems to be going for. You know, Beastars it's like a show that's trying to say something. You know, those kind of shows? There's, you know, I really like those kind of shows when I'm in the mood for them, and I guess I'm just not quite in the mood. I'm still riding on my Miraculous right now. Miraculous Ladybug right now. Let's see. Maybe after Ladybug is over, I'll be more in the mood for it, but Beastars, apparently it gets really good in the manga, so like the story is solid, and the animation style looks good. Beastars is 3D animated. It's computer graphics, but it's also kind of trying to do its own thing. Not quite to the degree that Ladybug is, but it's not as stilted as a lot of 3D anime tend to be when I see them. I don't get like immediately, though. When I did first find out about it, before anyone started talking about it, I saw someone post a link to this thing called Beastars, and I thought it was like a student project. Like, I didn't think it was real. I didn't think it was like a legit anime. I thought it was some kind of commercial tie-in for something else, maybe, or like a student film, because you know, you always get a bunch of student films around the end of the semester, when all the CalArts kids are posting their portfolio pieces and all that. Okay, so I think I want to say Meryl and Ezreal are the same color, but I could be wrong. Let me color Sandshrew first, since I have him on screen. saturated. Yeah, that's good. Nyx isn't laughing at me. I'm so not a furry, Nyx. It's just, it's Tail says that Val does protest too much. It's okay to be a furry. It's okay to be a furry. You guys can be furries. I don't think I'm a furry. I just like appreciate things that are furry. Okay? It's different. Virus's Denny is the most common step. Denny? Denny is the most common step. Sorry, not sure what you mean there. Virus is also saying yes. Yeah. Virus says, the studio that made Beastars has all my confidence. Before that, they made an anime called Land of Lustrous, or Hoseki no Kuni, and gave me a lot of hope for Japanese CGI animation. I have heard of those. So that's good. And Beastars looks really good. So, yeah, they're definitely going in the right direction. There's a lot of anime that I want to watch more of, but they're not like continuing on, you know? Made in Abyss was good, but we haven't gotten a second season yet. Meryl. Azrael. Huh. I think they're the same color. That's Azrael. Maybe Azrael is darker blue? I think Azrael's a slightly less cyan. I'm going to make this line thicker. And then I'm going to color the line sort of a light blue. And I'll make this part white. Oh, no, the ears are pink. They're sort of a reddy pink. Are Meryl's ears pink? Yes, Meryl's ears are also pink. And, oh, it's still kind of cyan. I don't know. It's just more saturated? There's something about Azrael that makes it feel like it's a darker blue, but it's not. I'm just gonna make it the same color. I'm just gonna make them the same color. It's whatever. They're close enough. You probably can't even tell the difference anyways. Let's also change that color. The color of the cheek lines. So it looks more like it's the pattern on his face. If Pikachu and Pichu store electricity in their cheeks, does that mean Azrael stores water in its cheeks? Well, we know what Pikachu looks like. Let's just throw in some yellow on Pikachu. I'm Pikachu. I'm Peekaboo. Peekaboo. I think Pichu's a lighter yellow. Oh, that's really bright. Let's make some pinky cheeks. And then a nice deep red for Pikachu's cheeks. A darker red for the ketchup bottle. There we go. Maybe back to red for this. A little bit of green. Darker green. Should probably be some kind of line for the label. And then make that white. That's good. Your cat girl anime is called Kimono Friends. Kimono Friends. That sounds familiar. It's very cute. Virus says, I was watching also a Chinese furry shonen that was really good in script and animation, and Chinese animation tends to be pretty bland on script, but this was pretty good. I haven't heard of this. As a kid, I watched a lot of anime, but my mom would buy them for me in China. Radicate. So they would be in Chinese. The Chinese anime market, like, you don't get to choose languages or anything. Most of the times you can't even pick or at least she got me Case Closed. Couldn't switch it to English, couldn't switch it to Japanese. There were no subtitles. The subtitles were in Chinese, which didn't help me because I don't read Chinese. I watched a lot of Case Closed as a kid, but I thought it was a Chinese cartoon because it was in Chinese. And there's another one that I watched a lot of, that I also thought was Chinese, but turns out it wasn't. Let's see. What do I think that would something like this, and then I'll color this part. Oops. Color this part, yeah. Make the teeth white, because he brushes his teeth every morning and every night. Okay, and then what would the color be? It's more like a dark yellow. I do like that they give Radicate sort of a rat nose. It's got that, like, sort of squared off fleshy nose rather than what a lot of cartoons do, which is just make it a dog nose. You know, with the black skin, and it's like different from rat noses are a little different from the surrounding bits, but I think that's just more on account of it not being covered with fur. And they get the they got the ear wrong. Rat ears don't have fur on them, so it would look like this. You know, where there's like a break there. But they color it in, so that's what I'm going to do. And yeah, I think I heard somewhere that when I first saw Kemono Friends, I was immediately put off by the animation. I was like, ew, that looks gross. But the more I looked at it, the more charming it became. It moved wrong sometimes, at least to me, in a sense that I wasn't used to it, but it didn't bother me as I kept like seeing gifs of it. And apparently the story is kind of interesting too. They have a sort of like, I don't know if it's spoilers since I haven't even read or seen the show, but it's like some kind of post-apocalyptic world people are theorizing, which is always a good time. You know, cute girls doing cute stuff, and oh yeah, also the world ended. There was an official sub in English, but it was taken down. Only remains on YouTube the first 3 episodes with official subs. Seems there is going to continue the sub and a new season this year. It's called The Great Warrior Wall, if you want to take a look. I will also check that out, yeah. There is one Chinese cartoon that I'm pretty darn sure is actually Chinese, that I watched a lot of as a kid, and that was Shioji, which is, as you might know, Journey to the West. Shioji is a very popular story, obviously, in China, but this one is like very anime-ish. Chinese animation, at least based on that show, it's kind of soft. It's the best way to say it I can think to describe it. And there's like a distinct kind of movement that they do. If you think about like old martial arts movies and how sometimes the characters would just float, like they'll use their special martial arts jumping, but instead of making it look like proper weighted realistic jumping that's like a little more fantastical, they'll like very clearly be attached to wires and they'll just float. There they go. And it's like done on purpose. They like that look. They think it's cool, I guess. So it kind of feels like that, but in animated form to me. I don't know if that makes any sense at all. But that cartoon is really old at this point, so I'm sure Chinese cartoons and specifically like Chinese anime has probably changed a lot since then. So yeah, I'll take a look, see if it's something that I'm interested in. For a long time I've been wanting to watch Blood Battle Blockade Battlefront. I don't know what it's called. It's like the one with the kid with the glowy eye. He's like got his eyes closed most of the time, and then he like opens them and they're all glowy. Hello, Jillian. Jillian says, hello, Zira, how are ya? I'm doing alright. I'm just finishing up How is written to search about it? Shioji. I think it's like Shioji. If you look up Journey to the West, it should come up. Let me see. Journey to the West cartoon. Can't find the name though. Like, what would it be romanticized as? Anyway, yeah, I just looked up Journey to the West cartoon. Has a great intro song, and the ending song is pretty sweet too. But that's like, it's like my childhood right there. Alright, let's see. Let's go with the Rattatas now. So, Alolan Rattata. I think this part is part of Raticate. I'm gonna change the color of his gums slightly so they don't, it's a little easier to tell them apart from the ear. Not the ear, the tongue and the gums apart. Let's see. Let's borrow. Let's start with the darks. Oopsies. Maybe a little warmer. No. I like this. This one is good. And then it comes under the nose up to the eye. You know, like, I think at one point there was an interview or something by Brian Jakes, who writes the Redwall series of books, and I remember him saying that he preferred the British style of animation, and he liked the way that the Redwall animated series looked because it was softer, and I hadn't considered that maybe like different cultures, people who come from different parts of the world would prefer different looking animation, because to me the Redwall animation, or the art style of the TV show, isn't my favorite. For me, it looks a little too angular, a little stiff in its movements. Like, the characters, I don't know. It's just not what I'm used to seeing. But like, he preferred it that way. And I wonder what about, are there things about like American animation that I prefer because I grew up on them, you know? The way they move, the way the lip sync looks, like a lot of our childhood here was built around just the Disney style, because Disney was very, very popular. A lot of different animation studios tried to be Disney. Okay, so I just straight up messed up on this, unfortunately. The whisker is supposed to be up here on his face, but I made it too low. It's too late. I'm just gonna say this Rattata's face mask is just different from... He's not like other Rattata. This Rattata is in the 5%. Money says, I've been wanting to watch Food Wars for the longest time. I feel like Food Wars would just make me so hungry. But yeah, that one looks really fun. Just so hilarious. Julian says, pretty sleepy right now, so I won't stay till the end. That's alright. It's always good to have you as long as you have the time for it. I'll be posting this image on social media once it's the 24th, 27th? When is Chinese New Year anyway? I'll look it up. Yeah, but once it's Chinese New Year, this will be going up, so you'll be able to see the final. And of course, the stream will be archived, probably, if I don't forget, on Twitch and YouTube. So, no worries there. I always forget that Alolan Rattata's belly has sort of a flower shape marking to it. Let's try and get some of that in. Like that. This Rattata isn't like other Rattata. It's in the top percentage of Rattatas. Maybe I should just color in as if the glass wasn't there. And then I'll color the glass with transparency so that it appears see-through. I'm gonna try that. And that way I can put the markings in the right... You know that Jet would be the trainer that would call people up about her pet rats. Or about, like, Fire Dog. Of all the NPCs, I feel like Joey should have been the one to have a nicknamed Pokemon. It's like your Pokemon is so special to you, and yet you don't bother to even give it a nickname. I like, maybe there's a thing in the Pokemon universe where if you don't give your Pokemon a nickname, it makes you closer. Because Ash doesn't nickname his Pokemon either, and it's seen as like, oh, good for him. It's like he has the strongest bond usually in the show to any of his Pokemon. His ninja frog thing literally like mutates because of friendship. So it's just weird that none of them ever get to have a nickname. Perhaps it's like their Pokemon name is their original name, so if you're just like gonna call them by that, then it's better. I don't know. I also don't know about stories, usually Nuzlocke, where the Pokemon is like, oh, my name is blah blah blah, and like, how do you do? It only makes sense if it's like if the Pokemon talk, but even then I assume the Pokemon would have like their Pokemon name. You know, have you guys seen Paddington Bear, that movie with the CGI bear and stuff? when he meets the family, they're like, what's your name? And he's like, my name is and he like makes a bear noise, and he's like, That's my bear name. Like, unless the Pokemon was previously owned, I feel like they would just have an animal sound as their name. I guess in a world where Pokemon talk English, they would probably have English name. I don't know how it works. It just always seemed a little strange to me when Pokemon come already with their names. But maybe that's just because I'm a traditionalist. But Joey needs to name his Rattata. Come on, Joey. It'll strengthen your bond. Virus says, I think there isn't many options of countries producing a lot of animation to feel they have a certain style. I mean, it's like American, Japanese, British, Canadian, Chinese, and French. I can't quite put... I wouldn't be able to tell you the difference between Chinese and Japanese today, in terms of, like, style, because I think the Chinese anime tends to look very similar to just Japanese anime. Like, they try to make it that way to... because it's popular, maybe? I don't know. French have a bit of a style when it comes to animation, but when I think of French animation, I do tend to think more of indie film styles. Like, what's that movie called? The Illusionist, I think, or something like that. With the British animation, it's more in the humor that it turns out, that it kind of stands out differently from American. The British have a very sort of dry humor, which I massively enjoy. What's that guy who did the Wes Anderson? The Wes Anderson style of, like, dialogue is a lot of fun. Funnily enough, you can't even go off of, like, accents, because American cartoons, Disney and stuff, have so many that are just, they just take place in England, so, like, the accents would still be British. Old Disney was just chock full of that. Okay, I'm gonna color in that. Color in right there. What else? Let's do this Rattata. It's I like that color. I didn't even look up a reference for Rattata. I just kind of like this purple. Well, I am a little fuzzy on where the pattern is. I'm gonna stick it under the eye. I'm gonna color the whisker. And maybe the feet too? The whole foot? Hello, Watcher Zigzagoon. Hello, Master Wheeler. Hi, John. Let's see. What did I miss? Also mice. Lots and lots of mice. I'm drawing all the rat and mouse Pokemons for Chinese New Year, which is coming up. I don't remember if the ear is also tan, so I'm just gonna make it that color. I'm gonna put the little shine in the eye. Why would he change his Rattatta's name if it's in the top percentage? If anything, everybody else should change the names of their Rattattas. His is the only Rattata, the OG Rattata. I think it's just because that many Mons are hard to name. The anime only gives Pokemon nicknames if there's gonna be double of it somewhere. Funny of a joke. Yeah, it's funny of a joke that is if the Pokemon talk already, it'd be weird for them to do animal sounds for a name. Yeah, that's a good point. Now I'm just thinking of Paddington and like, so they were talking bears. Were they just slipping in like bear noises now and then? Like in Paddington, they play off the bear as a different language. So I can see like cuz they would like practice English at night. They would like put on a tape that says like, repeat after me, how do you do? So yeah, I guess they would probably like speak in bear and like sometimes fall back into, or like speak in English and then fall back into bear sometimes. I don't know. That makes sense. Growing up in a bilingual family, it's definitely one of the cases where you just kind of mishmash whatever you got, whatever comes or like is best suited for this the occasion. There are some words that English doesn't quite have the right word for, so you gotta use the Chinese. I wonder if it would be like that for Pokemon. I wonder if like different Pokemon speak different languages and then they all just have like a universal language. I would like to see a comic where the Pokemon speak each their own language. I guess some of them do that. Cause didn't Kainem have like some of her Pokemon speak Spanish? So I guess that would kind of fit into that sort of thing. But I mean like each Pokemon have their own language. I wonder if it would be possible for them to like learn each other. You hear it saying Rattata? Or would it still be saying Raichu? And I guess Pokemon would have to be able to communicate within their species, right? Like their family. In terms of Pikachu and Raichu would have to be able to communicate with each other. I don't know. Okay, I think I like this a little better. It's a little less dark. I'm gonna get rid of this little bit of white. Right there. Maybe bring this in a little. Bring this up. Hand goes there. Dum-de-dum-dum-dum. I know you haven't gotten to say hi, but I gotta be right back for dinner. Oh no! Bye, Wheeler. You nailed it. When I used to do a Nuzlocke comic, I have wild Pokemon give themselves names very based on how they identify, like a bunch of adjectives stuck together. I like that. Accept a new name when caught. Oh, I like that a lot. Let me come back to that. But isn't Bidoof a beaver? Funny enough, Watcher Zigzagoon, but if you look on the Pokedex, Bidoof is classified as a mouse. Specifically, it's a plump mouse. I'm assuming it's more of a like a water rat, like a river rat, you know? Either way, I'm going based off the Pokedex on some of these. Because otherwise, I personally wouldn't include Pikachu. Pikachu seems like more of a squirrel-shaped thing to me than a mouse. But the Pokedex says it's a mouse, so I'm gonna include it. In fact, everyone in that corner over there is a different animal, but the Pokedex says it's a mouse. Sandshrew, I'd say, is more of a pangolin. Some kind of shrew, maybe, because it has shrew in the name. But no, Pokedex says it's a mouse. Cyndaquil, I think, is supposed to be a shrew. Either a shrew or maybe even some kind of quilled Pokemon, like an echidna or some kind of mole, maybe. But no, the Pokedex says it's a fire mouse. I don't think Game Freak knows what mice are. In fact, Rattata and Raticate are also just mouse. So I decided to include it. I like stirring controversy sometimes when it comes to Pokemon taxonomy. Maybe in the world of Pokemon, they just have different classifications for stuff. It's hard to say. What's the book called? Hold on. Very based on a children's book I loved. What's the book called? Watcher Zigzagoon says, mine's named Rat Trap. Wait. I'm trying to find the name in English, but it's French, actually. It's something like Great Wolf Savage, Gran Lobo Salvaje in Spanish. Zephyr says, I missed a Rattata paw. No, don't worry. Here are 4. Oh, I missed a Rattata paw. Thank you. I will come back to it. Grand Loup Sauvage by René Escudier. It's like a shonen adventure of city dogs going to the country to find their mythical ancestor. That sounds amazing! That sounds intriguing, seeking your ancestry without using Ancestry.com. Wait, how did I put that link up? I think it like automatically turns into a link sometimes if you have a dot something. Zephyr says, bringing down the sky had the Pokemon speak a pigeon language to each other represented by symbols the artist came up with. That's really cool. Fair enough. Squirrel? I think so, yeah. Like, it's got pointy ears. It's got the tail that gets really big at the tip. Virus says, actually, there is New Year official art with Pokemon mouses, too. And includes Cyndaquil and Sandshrew, too. Game Freak! Game Freak is what Game Freak does. This one. So how many Pokemon do you know the Japanese names for? Pikachu? Dedenne, I assume? Togedemaru? That sounds Japanese. I don't know any of them. Wan Ricky. Oh, I know one. It's like Sir Knight is Gardevoir. Arbo is Machop. Oh, and Abra is just Casey. Abra in Japanese, I think, is just Casey. It's like based on a magician. I don't know if Abra, if Kadabra and Alakazam are also named after just like real world people, but that would be funny. Arbo does not equal Machop. Arbo is Ekans. Oh, that makes more sense. Wan Ricky. that's a weird one. Okay, so the idea of like using words and stuff for names, I actually also did that once for my Zero the Red Wolf backstory that I did for Nano one year. Hold on, I want to make that a little darker, maybe. A little darker. I can hardly see it, so I don't want it to look white, you know? Because I also want to use it on Cyndaquil. So when I was small, I read a book series called Julie of the Wolves. It was about an Inuit girl who got lost in the wilderness, and she had to, like, basically it's a survival story where you have to survive until you're rescued. And she was helped by a pack of wolves who I think caught food for her or something. I don't remember. But there was a sequel which sucked and made me very sad. I don't know if it sucked because it was a bad sequel or if it sucked because it made me sad. I think I just didn't like it because it made me sad. But then the sequel got a sequel, so that it's a trilogy now, and the third book is really interesting because that one, the first two are from the perspective of the people, and so the wolves are just wolves. They're just animals. They're just they act like animals. They don't talk or anything. In the third book, the wolves still don't talk necessarily, but the story is told from the perspective of the wolves now, and they're still animals. So they use the whole words and stuff as names for them, and it's very interesting because each wolf would just give another wolf, like, so the main character wolf is the leader of the pack, I guess. It's been a long time since I've read it, but I remember a scene where the main character wolf sees another wolf in the distance running, and her coat is like, she's a white wolf, so the sun sort of like shines off her like silver, so the wolf decided to call her Silver. It wasn't even like they have names or anything. It's just this wolf makes him think of this, and so that becomes her name. I really liked the idea. I stole it wholesale when I was deep in werewolf lore. I love werewolves. I wanted to write a story with them when I was a kid, and I had this like whole world building thing about how werewolves be, and essentially you can be either like so the wolves, the ones that like transform during the night or during the full moon and stuff, those those werewolves are cursed. So they become werewolves because a werewolf bit them or something happened, and it's kind of like a disease in that they were human, but like involuntarily they would transform into a werewolf. And then you had the werewolves that are born as werewolves. So let's say you're a werewolf already, and you mate with another werewolf and you create children, and they are also werewolves. So it's by bloodline. And if you're a naturally born werewolf, you have the ability to control your transformation. You can just transform whenever you want. And then there was a third kind, I can't remember. But yeah, so like, because they can transform into wolves, they can also communicate with wolves. So they essentially have like this thing where the wolves, each werewolf would have a wolf name and a human name. And the wolf name would be something like, I think one of my characters' name was Rain, and her full wolf name was the color of dirt in the rain. Essentially mud. But because she's a black wolf, which are not like naturally spawning in the wild, I think there's a thing where biologically black isn't really a natural coloring, unless it's like some kind of mutation where it can occur in the wild but won't typically. But yeah, stuff like that. Bayleaf is the same. Eevee and Zigzagoon are the same. Zigzagoon, I wouldn't have expected that. I do know that Bulbasaur means something like, what is it? But I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Fushigi Dane? Fushigi Dane? Yeah, I know that Bulbasaur means that's strange, or isn't it strange? But I don't know what it is unless you like write it out. It's possible if I see it written out without Bulbasaur in front of it, I might recognize it as being Bulbasaur, but that's I have no idea if that's the case. Honestly, I just looked it up on Bulbapedia. Yuki Manona. Yuki Manona. Why are there two N's? Is that pronounced differently? Yuki Manona. Frostlass. Yeah, when a story doesn't have a happy ending, I hate it. It wasn't even that, like, it was a sad ending, I don't think. It was the first book was about Julie, the girl, surviving in the wild. And it was such a great sort of, like, I always loved survival stories as a kid. Pat Rat. Because the character enters as an outsider. Somehow they end up in this environment where they're not, like, supposed to be. And through the course of the book, they learn to adapt so that they can survive. And they kind of, in order to survive, they kind of just, it turns out they carve out a life for themselves, like there's a way that they do things. I don't know, it's just like hugely satisfying for some reason to watch everything comes together. You have to do this in the morning so that you have water in the afternoon. You have to put your food here, and this and that. And if you don't, then you're in trouble. It's a really I really liked that. And when Julie gets rescued and goes back to society, it was just so jarring to me. Like I hated that she couldn't do her own thing anymore. It was like yes, she's not struggling to survive every moment, but now you have to deal with stuff that isn't for immediate survival, like daddy issues and what what the what the townspeople are gonna do to the wolves. Like the people in town don't respect nature the way that we do now. Me and Julie, who have gone through this ordeal, you know, like I feel like a kindred spirit at that point with the main character, because we've gone through it together. It's like they just don't understand. They're wrong. You know, like it's just so frustrating. It's the same feeling I get, the same feeling of frustration I get when in stories like Guardians of Ga'Hoole, I think Warrior Cats did it a little bit, where you follow the main characters through their story, and then at some point it switches to like a younger generation, and it's like you just don't get it. You weren't there. You don't know what my characters went through to make this life for you. And you like, you're disrespecting it, because they always come in like, oh, what do you know? I'm gonna blah 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 do something, you know. I don't know. It's when the status quo is like ripped from me, I tend to get upset. And as a kid, it just you know, I didn't have the wherewithal to understand that stories need conflict. Da 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 da. Especially when the protagonist suffers with no hope for justice or some innocent. When you end on a sad note or a hopeless note like that, it does, yeah, it leaves a bad taste. That's kind of why I don't like zombie movies. It usually ends on a note similar to that, where it's just where it's just there's no hope. I was about to ask about that. I am returning. Welcome back, Master Wheeler. Good evening. You could search about Werewolves the Apocalypse. It's a RPG game of those with dice and sheet of paper. Is that like a Mafia game? I know there's a board game that's like... Oh no, you said it's an RPG. I'll check it out. I don't do very well with tabletop roleplay. I'm kind of bad with the improv. Master Wheeler says naturally spawning in the wild, as wolves do. Zigzagoon says, well, neither is white or blue or red. Yes, it's very edgy. A spin-off of a famous vampire game played by goths usually, but the lore is awesome. You can play with werewolves. I thought it was mysterious, because that's the pun the anime made with its name in the new gen. Really? It means something of that extent. Isn't it strange? Is it strange? What is it? Isn't it mysterious? You get the, you know, like, that. It just means something like that. It's like, got a sense of je ne sais quoi. Then again, I can handle bittersweet endings to an extent. You read those ones. So have I. And Redwall! I haven't read Seekers, though. Seekers was the follow-up to Warrior Cats, right? Did you ever read the Bionicle stories? I have not. But I did see the movie, and I was pretty into that. But unfortunately, no, I haven't read of Bionicles. But yeah, no, Warrior Cats, I love the Gahul books. I haven't seen the movie though. Dedenne. I have not seen the Gahul movie. They say Guardians of Gahul. It's made by the same people who did Happy Feet, which I really enjoyed. I like how it's sort of a little uncanny how realistic the birds are. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of would like to revisit the Gahul series. I never really finished it, I don't think. I think there were more entries that I missed out on. Dedenne is a weird Pokemon because it looks so similar to Raichu with its coloring. It's like the exact same color as Raichu, but it's a tiny... Oh, its feet are not black. I think Warrior Cats did it too, honestly. I can't remember the instance though, unfortunately. Redwall tended to skirt that that problem by having each book take place like seasons apart from each other. So if there were descendants, they were already like characters in their own right, or they were like long descendants. But there were some books, I'm trying to think which one, where it was like a direct Matameo like was so annoying to me as a kid because he would just it's like, kid, you don't get it, just stop, you're being a butt. Essentially. I think, I don't know, maybe as a kid I had less patience for children because it was too close to home. Not in a this is unfair, an unfair depiction sense, but more in a like I have to deal with this all the time, so like I don't want to read about it. I don't know. It's possible. If you don't know already, Redwall has some really good audiobooks. I started with the Triss audiobook, which is a great one. And it's so fun because they are fully voiced. Each character will have a voice, like an actor to portray them, and then the non-dialogue parts are read by Bran Jakes, and the songs have like full instrumentations to them, and they sing them, and it's great. It's like everything I could ever want. I have a whole like CD of just Redwall songs that I listen to occasionally. Da, 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 da. Did you ever read one of the thing you've been missing out? I've also missed out on, what are they called? Animorphs? I heard Animorphs is really good, but I have not read any Animorphs. Just want you to know, I very much appreciate this pick. Thank you, Wheeler! Thank you so much. I'm happy with how it's coming out. Also, Seekers follows the journey of the bears, of 3 bears of different background. It's basically We Bare Bears. I too need to get back in the habit of reading, as I have fallen far behind on the lore and story of several series. Wheeler says, Dedenne confirmed to be just tiny Raichu. Callow Raichu. Would you not recommend the cartoon? Virus, which cartoon are you talking about? Because if you're talking about the Redwall cartoon, I've actually not watched it. I think it looks charming. I'm sure it's good because the author seems to like it. I think they even have some songs. I just have never gotten around to watching it. It wasn't on my radar until I was a little out of the cartoon watching business. Each Animorphs book had the protagonist morph into an animal on the cover. That was my favorite part of the Animorphs. I would go to the library and just look at the covers. Okay. Give me a sec while I try to figure out the ground. Try to figure out where the earth is. I think there should be probably this and then this. Okay, and then above that, I'm going to color the glass. Oh, forgot to color behind that. White. And now it just looks like everyone's drinking milk. And don't worry, Wheeler, the baby isn't drinking champagne. Pikachu has a bottle of ketchup for baby. And I'm sure Pikachu would help himself to some as well. Pikachu would probably like a Bloody Mary. as his favorite alcoholic drink. And then if I could just take that down. And then fill it with champagne. Oops, I need to bring this down. Oops. And probably this too. Now I'm just gonna erase this line. I don't like it. I don't want it there. Okay. I think that's... Okay, back to drawing the champagne. Clink. higher. Sorry, I'm just focusing on drawing in the little yellow liquids. Do you like Mouse Guard? I love Mouse Guard. Let me scroll up a little bit more. I read Silverwing too, and it's a sequel. I don't know if there were any more though. If there were, I probably have forgotten. But I feel like I read all of them. I think I read all of the Silverwing books. Silverwing was great. Really got me into bats for a while. I've read like the first 17 Animorph books, and oh, this is Pokemon Wheeler says I've read like the first 17 Animorph books and like book 22 or something. My library only had book 1 to 17. Sans book 2, 5, and 15. Dun, 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 dun. So I thought that was the end while I was reading. I didn't look up exactly how many there were until I got to 17. Only then did I learn that was only like 1/4 of the series. What was your favorite Redwall book? For anyone who has read the Redwall series. I didn't know Silverwing had a cartoon, actually. Oh no, that's not true. I knew it did, but I like forgot completely until just now when I said I didn't remember. And then it came flooding back to me. Didn't they have like anime hair? Weren't the bats like really anime? I would actually read that book. I should actually read that book. Read like, oh, okay. Almost forgot. Virus brings up Mouse Guard, a great comic book. Mouse Guard looked really weird to me at first, but they actually do mice a lot more realistically than than like the Redwall cartoon. In my brain, I always thought of mice as like the Redwall cartoon, the way that they do it, the way that Rattata looks, you know? But Mouse Guard gets something right in that mice are kind of just a unit and then feet. They're just like one lump and then feet. And I think I didn't realize that until I really thought about it after reading Mouse Guard. What about Shark Wars? I don't know what that one is. John says I had to skip the end of Animorphs, so I was so lost. Apparently it's like it gets really like dark later on. Zigzagoon says ketchup? You sure that ain't tomato juice? Zigzagoon says shucks, I was hoping they were having a tomato juice or something. Didn't look up exactly how many there were. Wonder how big the delay is here. Sorry, it's probably a delay, but also a delay in my brain in that I like am reading it late. But Pikachu has his own song he sings about ketchup as one of the anime endings. I love that song. It's so cute. Pikachu, Pikachu, Pika Pika, Pikachu. And then all the like ketchups come out of the ground. It's so cute. John says, don't forget the Animorph special books. I have no idea. Like, there are so many Animorph books. Thanks for the stream. It helped me concentrate on inking some drawings. Bye, everyone. I'm going to sleep. Bye, Virus. Thanks for coming. Zigzagoon said, I've only read Redwall and one other. I own, like, the entire Redwall series except for the 2 latest books, I think. No, 3. The 3 latest books. I think it was like Eulalia, Rogue Crew, and Sable Queen. Are the ones that I'm missing from my collection. Not super sad about those ones. I wasn't a huge fan of Sable Queen. Eulalia is okay. Rogue Crew, I think, wasn't even finished. They published that, like, post-mortem. But, I loved Tagarung when I was a kid. That was my absolute favorite. I thought it was the coolest thing. Tag was so cool. I was super sad when he just, like, you know, like, turned into a normal dude at the end. When he's like, I'm gonna give up my warfare ways. They even, like, got rid of his little birthmark. They, like, tattooed over his birthmark. They basically, like, to my child brain, they just took everything cool about the character and stripped it away. So, I was a sad Joey. What happens if I put a screen on it? No, that's terrible. What if I do a multiply? That's even worse. Overlay? I'm just gonna keep it on normal. Maybe a little more transparent. And on top of that, I'm gonna put a overlay. No. A multiply with the same color. I think this will work. And sort of just put in the tops. Would it be darker or would it be lighter? I feel like it would be lighter, actually. So let me change that to overlay. Now it's like too... I keep adding stuff, but it's like too light to see. Add some like bubbles. And if you don't like champagne like me, you can say it's a sparkling cider, which as a kid we would always get for these special occasions. Felt real grown up drinking sparkling cider out of a champagne flute. They have like this pear flavored sparkling cider at IKEA that's like actually pretty good. And then what was that? Watcher Zigzagoon followed. Thank you, Watcher Zigzagoon. Iski Fair followed 3 hours ago. Thank you. I must have missed you earlier. Somehow it didn't ping me for that. Yeah, Twitch makes a little sound when someone follows, and I'm like, ah, oh, what? But thank you so much. I'm glad we can be entertaining for you. Okay, let's see. And on Sundays this month, and until I finish, we're playing Pokemon Shield over on the Nuzlocke Forums channel. So if you I'm basically gonna be streaming it from my channel, and then they like, you know, I don't know how to say it. They capture the footage from that and then stream it to their channel. So if you want to like join us for that, we basically mostly look at the chat over there, because I always forget to look at chat when I'm playing a game on stream. John, I think you were chatting on my channel this Sunday. So yeah, make sure y'all are going over to that one so we can actually see ya. But it's been a lot of fun. I've already lost one Pokemon. I'm doing a Nuzlocke on it. Not like a comic or a story or anything. Just a sort of for fun. Okay, so let's see what happens if I throw a dark blue in the background. Yay! Now the champagne stands out a bit better. It stands out a bit too good because now you can see how bad it looks. Let me fix that. Just make it a little neater around the edges. Wheeler, if you want to watch Zero murder some Pokemans, come on every Sunday. Yeah, it's a good thing we're playing on Sundays, because Lord knows I need the prayers. Let's see. Only read one. So there's also an anime called Silver Fang Meteor Jin. I've heard of it. Looks so weird, but I actually really want to watch it. It's basically warrior dogs, but with dogs and in Japan and much more gruesome. Not to mention it's got supernatural powers. I didn't know that it had supernatural powers. But it's like, it's always so funny to me when they just draw animals with the anime eyes on them. There's also Animals of Farthing Woods, only seen as far as episode 10 before I stopped. I should really get back into it. I saw a review of Farthing Woods. Yeah, it looks really good. That's a British cartoon, right? Can't remember. Before I started up on... Zigzagoon says, before I started up on DeviantArt back in 2011, I was a very avid reader. Excuse me. Master Wheeler says, multiply may be best, just so it stands out more, even if it's technically less accurate. Yeah, I think now with the dark background, it helps a lot. Root beer is the closest thing to beer you will ever get me to drink. I don't like root beer at all. That, what is it, the sarsaparilla? Is that what the flavor is? Sassafras? I don't know. Ziggs is like, no worries. Yeah. Thanks again. Wheeler says, if you want to watch Zero... Oh, okay. John's mourning my mutton chop. Turned into mutton before their time. I lost a Pokemon for fun. 2020. Zig said, oh hey, if you happen to receive a trainer card with the name Quinn, that would be me. I'm doing Sword. Oh, okay. Quinn. I'll look out for that. Tail says people who are fans of Wooloo don't watch. Come on, it was an accident. I didn't do it on purpose. Zigzagoon says, I'm just noting down what I've been doing and saving it for when I write a story for it. Quinn is the protagonist who is mute and shy and gets very discouraged as the story progresses. Ooh, that's cute. And you don't often see being mute as like a disability. Usually it's just like, oh, I could talk if I want to, but I'm too shy. Or the Trumpet Swan is pretty much the only book I can think of that has like an actual mute character. Though there might be others. Usually it's like a side effect of being deaf also. Spoiler, she loses a Karrablast. Sad face. In game, it was due to an accident with trading. An incident with trading? What? In universe, I'm gonna write it as a heart problem that came to a head after a Dynamax. Oh boy. Tails! Also, people who are a fan of Tyrogue don't watch. Come on, Tails! There aren't any fans of Tyrogue. John says, except Link sometimes. Okay. Man, this image took a lot longer than I thought. I thought for sure I would like finish it early, and then get around to like drawing something else. But I think, yeah, it's like I have maybe half an hour left after this. Also, I'm joking. You're valid to like Tyrogue. It's a fine Pokemon. I just don't really like it's not a Pokemon for me. Its evolution is too complicated for me. It doesn't it evolves into Pokemon that I'm not very into. Yeah, there's just nothing about Tyrogue that appeals to me. if you wanna know what happened with our Tyrogue, just go watch episode 2 of the Shield playthrough yesterday. Spoiler alert, nothing happens to the Tyrogue. Y'all just mean. Man, I really like what's going on here with the, like, having the belly behind it. Looks really great. It's kind of boring when there's nothing behind the liquid. I think I might also put a little white back in. Because, you know, with glass, it gets more opaque the thicker it is. So maybe just to make it look a little more opaque, I'll make the handle part. Clink. Yeah, I was hoping to draw my new catches for my Shield run. I'm not doing a story for the Nuzlocke, but when I got the game and wasn't playing it yet, I got itchy to like draw something for it, and the only Pokemon I really knew that I would definitely get was Scorbunny. And since I was trying to avoid spoilers, it was also literally the only Pokemon that I could plan for. So I decided to draw Scorbunny, and I couldn't for the life of me decide what to do for the trainer character, because I could just draw Gloria, but I knew there was going to be character customization, so I also didn't want to like, you know, like get attached to one thing before you know, like too soon. Pikachu looks very dull. Give me a sec, let me check the color. Yeah, he looks a little green to me. I don't know about you. That's better. Now you gotten some color in those cheeks. you're putting on some color. So I was like, okay, let's try and put Scorbunny in Gloria. Gloria's the girl player character. Let's try and put him in the character's outfit. See how that looks. And the little like Scottish bonnet that she wears, the little Scottish hat that she's got on, it turned into a military beret for some reason. Let me get aqua. Get a little darker. And let's see, maybe I can get away with just rim lighting by shading everything in and then coloring out and then erasing out the outlines. Let's see if that looks any good. If it doesn't look decent, I can always just not do it. Oh. Oh man. What do I do with the glass? Oh no, what do I do with the glass? Would the whole thing just Okay, I'm just gonna erase out the glass and decide what to do with it later. Maybe it'll look fine. Just completely white. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know how to shade glass. Anyway, so with the military beret and all that, and he's got like this really angry look. He's got his like, he doesn't have, how do I say this? He's got a really big belt because he's not wearing pants. So he's got a belt and the sort of what do they call it in the game? They call it a oh, what's the sweater called in the game? The default one that you start with. Her very shy does not have anything to do with her being mute. No, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's like, usually it's like a personality thing, but like, it's cool that you're doing it as something separate. How does she, like, train her Pokemon if she can't talk? Does she use the Pokedex, maybe? That could be a cool thing. Like, it makes the interface make more sense. Because in the game, you, like, have to, like, in-game, you have to actually tap on what move you want to use. And then the Pokemon uses the move. But what if that was, like, a thing that you had to do in real life also? In order to, like, because you couldn't speak. That would be fun. This is, like, thinking of accessibility in the Pokemon universe could be a fun concept. Like how Leon literally has a guide Charizard. Like, his Charizard's just a guide dog. Wheeler says, also my squirrel better at least survive till it evolves. Yeah, I'll try to keep Slappy alive. Tails insists that Tyrogue has fans. Wheeler says, otherwise I'm gonna be very disappointed in you. Zigzagoon said, speaking of disappointment, there's a video game called Owlboy with a mute protagonist. I've seen Owlboy. It's like a sprite game, right? Like, the graphics are sprite. Otis. He does not have an easy life. Zigzagoon says, I struggle with character creation too. Master Wheeler says, I use more of an orangish yellow for my chews. It's a very good orangey yellow. It makes them feel warm. But if you go too orange, you start getting into like Raichu territory. Zigzagoon says, man, I had sword since Christmas and only started on New Year's Day. Hey, a lot happens during the holidays. John says, oh look, a water level. No, that is not the case. You know, now that I think about it, when I lost Karrablast, I think I found out how it felt to lose a Pokemon in a Nuzlocke. Is that the one that hurt the most? What hurts the most? I forgot. Wheeler says, now that they're evolved, they're gonna draw them as middle stage Scorbunny. Yes! Yes, that's what I wanted to do! I'm gonna run out of time to do that. I love thinking accessibility in Pokemon World. Okay, but like, so what I was getting at is I put Scorbunny in this little parka that's too big, that looks kind of like a hoodie, I guess, and then gave him a beret which pushed down his ears, so his ears flop down, and also he's got his like hand. I didn't know what to do with his hands. I never know what to do with my hands when I'm in a photo, and so he's like got them kind of hooked around, you know, like kind of hooked around his belt, sort of, and it's weird because then he evolved, and what's it called, like Raboot, he looks exactly like a Raboot already, because Raboot's ears go down, he's got his hands in his pockets, he's got like the turtleneck that goes over his mouth, and you know, like, I didn't give Moxie a turtleneck that goes over his mouth in the main drawing, but when I went in to like draw it for the title and stuff, I forgot what he looked like, so I did include a turtleneck, sort of. It's like I just made the sweater kind of come up a little higher. I like predicted what Raboot, what Moxie would evolve into. Okay. There's nothing I can do to make this not weird. So I'm gonna go a little minimal with it. It's weird because I always feel like part of the Patrat's eye is supposed to glow. But if I did that here, I think it would just look a little too much. Rim lighting is really fun because you just have to like, you can just put the whole thing into darkness and then slowly carve out where you think the lights are. And sometimes less is more, so it's like the least amount of work. But you really need to understand the form of your characters, which can be a problem sometimes with Pokemon. Because Pokemon often look really good in one angle. Something I admire the Pokemon anime for is being able to like draw Pokemon the way that they look officially, like their official designs. They don't do this cowardly game of let's change the Pokemon's anatomy so that it makes more sense. They don't play that way. Pokemon and Poke Annie look exactly like they do on the official box art or design or like whatever. And they make it work. If you ever want to know how a Pokemon moves, how it behaves, what it looks like from every angle, just watch the anime. It's a great resource for that. Someone mentioned there are reference sheets that people tend to have for the anime, where it's basically just characters in different hard to see positions so that they can like stay on model when animating. And it's like, can you please sell that to me? Like, I want that yesterday. Apparently they just toss them in the trash. Sixagoon says, I have some other things worth mentioning about Quinn. First, she cannot see past her nose without her glasses. Second, she develops a crush on B over time, but can't convey her feelings without making a fool of herself. Ah, I don't know who B is yet. Ziggoon continues. Third, much like several Nuzlocke comics, if not most, she is able to understand Pokemon speech, but in a twist of irony, cannot speak back. Dramatic irony. Oh my goodness. That's a fun twist, though. Wheeler says technically they did that anatomy changing with Pikachu. That's where Pikachu's design change came from. True. But it's like official design changed with it. It almost felt like it was continuing with the overall design change of Pokemon in general. You know how people say like the Pokemon in nowadays art style are a lot rounder, a lot more simplified, a lot more two-dimensional in some ways than in the past, and that's just like, it's not better or worse, it's just a different design sensibility. Pikachu kind of followed that in a way. So I don't know, like when it was supposed to look like Fat Pikachu, it looked like Fat Pikachu. And then when it like had to look more like anime Pikachu, it looked like anime Pikachu. You could still pose it back in a way. It like, you can imagine if it sat in a specific way, it would go back, it would fall back into place and become default Pikachu. Does Bulbasaur also hop in Detective Pikachu? I know Venusaur does, like a frog, like a giant toad. I didn't know Bulbasaur did also. Most of the important characters have references that are easy to look up. You won't meet B in Shield. Aw, okay. So, like, the opposite of normal? With the can understand Pokemon but can't speak back. But it's like, most people don't understand the opposite of... Yeah, so like, most people can't understand Pokemon but can talk to them. Quinn can't talk to Pokemon but can understand them. And I assume Pokemon can't read? Like, you can't just like write a note to your Pokemon? I don't know. Should there be light on this side, maybe? I think if there's light on Raichu's head over here, then there's got to be a little on Patrat also. Like this way. And then a little rim on the ear. Will show that it is getting light, though not enough to like illuminate it. And then the whole tail can, I think, just sort of come out. I don't know if that's too much, but let's just erase all of the tail out, see if it works. Maybe it is too much. The problem is if I cover any of the ear thing, it won't look complete. I don't want it to look too much like I'm avoiding coloring in the ear. I am, but the point is to make it not look like I am. Maybe this part can come out. When the anatomy gets a little weird, I start to get confused. Like I don't have any idea what's going on with Raichu's ears. Never have, never will. What is that little thing that like the curly Q that comes off of it? Is it a whisker? Is it a hair? Is it, you know, like fleshy? I forgot to make Raichu doing anything with his arm. He's just holding it up for no reason. He's fist bumping. I guess. Okay. Okay, this will be fun. This is gonna be fun. Where's the light coming from? I want the ears to feel solid, so I need to use the light in a way to block out the planes, so that it looks like there's like a side that's facing the light. And then if I put a shine in a character's eye, I always try to make it not in shadow, because technically the shine is light hitting the eye. If it's like, you know, like Patrat's little eye up here, the shine up here. So if that thing is light, it shouldn't be in shadow. It's like a direct pinball of light. And if it is in shadow, then there shouldn't be a shine. It's things like that trying to keep on top of. So I should bring his ear out also. Kind of disappears into the darkness. And I will bring this shadow color down. But when it's really harsh like this, it makes it easier to see where I'm going wrong. And helps with the placement, you know? Let's just bring his whole arm out into the light. a little bit on his whiskers. Wheeler's like, I totally ignore that when I do eye shines. For some people, the eye shine becomes part of the design. It's not a shine anymore. It's just that's what the eyes look like. So it's totally valid if you like shade over your shines. You know. I don't like this part on the ear, but I'm gonna leave it for now. Otherwise, I'm gonna waste a lot of time trying to fix it. It kind of was modern Pikachu in motion, but classic Pikachu when just sitting there. Yeah. You've seen a lot more anime than I have, so I don't know what it looks like throughout. Zigzagoon says, lastly, Quinn struggles to cope with the fear of Dynamax that she developed from the traumatic first-hand experience in the Grass Gym, where Karrablast died. That's always a fun time, writing trauma based on like failure in a Nuzlocke. When I was writing Jet's Black Nuzlocke, I didn't realize I was doing this until like later, but Jet kind of goes through a mini sort of stages of grief, I think, when Broccoli gets taken out by Team Plasma. Because if I can't quite remember all of them, but I believe it starts with like denial, anger, bargaining. Because at first she's like just blue screen of death, right? Like when it happens, it's in the middle of the trauma. But afterwards, she kind of tries to run away from it by quitting. And then when she decides to keep going and she finds out about Team Plasma and that they were like responsible, she just jumps on that. Sort of like with anger or bargaining, or denial, rather. She like decides, okay, that's what, like, I'm gonna focus my energy on that because that's the thing to blame, you know? It happened because of them. And it kind of like she's kind of denying the fact that she's actually, you know, pretty much responsible for what happened as the trainer. And then I forget, later she kind of tries to join Plasma, so you got the bargaining aspect. You know, it comes and goes because as she's going through, more Pokemon get lost, so it kind of like resets a little bit. It doesn't go through completely smoothly, and plus, like in real life, you can't really pinpoint all of the time when those kind of moments are happening. But just like with the hero's journey, they say the hero's journey isn't a how-to guide. You're not supposed to take the hero's journey and like sit down and write a story based on it. Like, okay, so this says my hero is supposed to have a start in the familiar. Okay, so let's write a scene that establishes the familiar. Got that down. Check. Moving on. Okay, so the hero now needs to to be thrust into the across the threshold, the call to action. All right, let's write in a character to do that. It's not supposed to be like step by step like that. You're supposed to use it in order to read and understand text that's already been written, and it's like a set of guidelines to help understand how stories are, rather than and to see like the structure that's shared between stories, rather than taking it as a this is how to do stories. So like looking back at the story, I kind of picked up some of those vibes reading it back, and I kind of like that it happened sort of naturally that way. Sometimes you get some happy little accidents and you just have to take it, accept it, roll with it. It's a little harsh over here. Let me see if I can take some of it out. And then probably trace a little bit of the... I might go a little longer today, because I do want to get this done this stream. We are coming up on the end of the stream, but I think I'm gonna just... I'll probably do my little sign off and then keep going. So if y'all want to hang out a little longer, that'll be totally fine. I try not to make the streams too much longer than 3 hours generally, because I know everyone has stuff to do, and I can't always survive longer than 3 hours streaming anyhow. It works out. Okay, this is an arm, and it tends, like, it definitely gets a little bit lost, so I'm gonna put a little shine there just to bring that out, whether it shows or not. And then some more fur just to have his body stand out on the side. Wheeler brought to my attention one day that Pikachu's tail is paper thin. You think there's some structure to this tail? Nay, it is a kite. Someone took a rolling pin to this creature's tail. I'm not sure if the foot would be in shadow or not, but I'm gonna put a little bit on there. And then coming back to this, definitely need to use lighting to help Dedenne show up a little bit, because definitely being lost. Whenever this song comes on, I always think it's that Sting song, Bourbon on Moon Over Bourbon Street. It's a little thicker than paper thin. It's like 3 papers. It's not by much, you know. It's like a 300-pound paper, watercolor paper. It's cotton rag, at best. Hanamule. Cotton rag. A pancake. It definitely feels thinner than a pancake, Wheeler. Look inside yourself. It's like a crepe. It's like a crepe that's been folded over maybe once. You can see exactly how thick it is when he uses Irontail and Unova. Someone get MatPat. Someone get MatPat to like measure the Pikachu and then like use Pikachu as a measuring tool to find out how thick the tail actually is. In fact, we don't even need MatPat. He's taught me all the tricks. You just calculate the pixels, and you know, Pikachu has a cannon height, right? We see in episode, what is it, 2, that Pikachu is pretty much the same exact size as every other Pikachu in that hospital Pokemon Center. Therefore, Pikachu must be average height for Pikachus, and average height for Pikachu is whatever that is, and then you like taking that divided by how thick the tail is. I don't know. math, science. Got to go get groceries. If we don't come back before you're done, thank you for the stream. Thank you for coming, Tails. Good luck with your groceries. Wheeler says 1 inch, 1 foot. Pikachu is 1 inch, 4 centimeters tall. No, 1 foot, 4 inches tall. Oh my goodness. Oh man, that lemon sweet tart turned into juice and then went all down my throat. It went all down my windpipe. I did not want sour lemon juice down my windpipe. And yet here we are. It like burns too. I'm gonna eat another one. It's probably like half an inch or something. Also, I'm unsure if Pikachu is 1/4 from head to foot or ear tip to foot. Wheeler forbids me now to die. John says, not yet. When the drawing is finished, I can die. Yes, Cosette, forbid me now to die. I'll obey. I will try. So I've spoken many times on Pokemon measurements and how the Pokedex provides average sizes, so you can have variants within species, and it most likely follows the closest thing we have animal counterpart wise, just to make it scientific, which means we can take the Pokemon, figure out what animal it closest behaves, represents in our world, and then assume that they are measuring it the same way. And it's because animals in our world are always measured in very specific ways. So let's take a dog, for instance. I could be wrong because I'm not like super familiar with this stuff, with like science and all that, but I'm pretty sure dogs tend to be measured from snout to base of the tail, for length. And I don't know like how many other animals that applies to, but I think for like quadrupeds and stuff, length is typically snout to base of the tail. However, if they are an animal like a horse, in which they can like carry stuff, I guess, or I don't know why exactly they do this, but for horses they measure specifically for the height because they need to know what the clearance of your horse is, you know. You need to know what your horse's clearance is. So they measure height from the shoulder, the top of the shoulder, to the ground. Because with the horse, it's like its head can dip down to the shoulder, so it can walk under that. The toppest height essentially is when it's standing comfortably, it has to be able to, like, you know, walk under, I guess. I don't know. Which makes me believe Charizard is possibly also measured that way. Because Charizard being a beast of burden, essentially, also has a very long neck, similar to a horse, which has a huge movement range. It can be up high, but it can also like dip down low. So I wouldn't be surprised if Charizard is measured from shoulder to ground. Now, with mice, rats, Pikachus, I don't actually know. I would assume the ears aren't included. I'm assuming the ears aren't included because ears are too variable. You know, it's not part of the skeletal structure. Therefore, there's no way of, like, from one individual to another, you could have like a way bigger difference in variance of size than if you started from somewhere that had maybe a structural integrity, like the skull. So like the top of the head, maybe between the ears would probably be a good place to start. And then you like go down to the flat of its foot. I don't know, like Pikachu, when it's quadruped, when it's walking on all fours, does stand on its toes, but it seems to stand and walk flat-footed like bears do when it's up on two legs. So it's hard to say. Like, Pikachu is so perfectly amphibious between its quadruped and biped forms. I'm not sure if it does stand on its toes when it's in a biped position. So like as a kid, or I guess technically this time it's not as a kid, but when I came up with this theory of animal measurements for Charizard, it was specifically to help Charizard not feel so small. Because yeah, I was on that train of Charizard seems way smaller than it should. I think Charizard is okay at the size that it is listed nowadays. It does seem a little small maybe, but it can be you know, I think in Sword and Shield it's shown at a pretty realistic to the Pokédex size. What was the height again? It's like 5 foot. Because also, remember, we're like literal children, so even a 5 foot tall dragon would still probably be bigger than us. You probably still can ride on that thing if you wanted to. 5'7". That's taller than me. You know? That's still taller than me right now. How do we measure a mouse or a squirrel? I'm thinking like, yeah, it's probably from base of the tail to tip of the nose, technically, but for Pikachu, since it's so upright, maybe like top of the head to the ground would help. It's like also, are we talking height or length? I think the nose to tail base is usually length, which if we're specifically saying height would be different. Ash's Charizard's height when compared to Ash himself looks more like it's measured head to foot than shoulder to foot. But then I remember the episode where there are all those other Charizard and Johto. Ash's is actually kind of short. Yeah, he's like a runt compared to them. I don't remember if that was supposed to say that Ash's Charizard is small, or that those other Charizard are just really big. You know, it could be that the other Charizard are just so much bigger than Ash's Charizard. But Ash's Charizard is like a normal size. I always got the sense that Ash's Charizard was a little smaller than it was supposed to be. I don't know if that's what the episode was going for, but that's what I took out of it. But like Charla, the girl Charizard, was the same size as Ash's Charizard, right? I don't know. I don't know. Where are you getting this info? Wheeler's like, I am the authority on Pokemon information. How are you getting information that I don't have? Pikachu would be tiny if nose to tail. Blastoise is 5'3". Blastoise isn't very tall at all. I'm taller than Blastoise. But he is kind of hunkered down, isn't he? I think I also tend to forget just the mass of Pokemon sometimes. It's not just how high you are from the ground. It's how wide you are from side to side, and like, you know, something that's not taller than me, like a car isn't taller than me, but it's definitely big enough to kill me. So, yeah, I feel like a Blastoise would still be pretty intimidating to see in real life. Despite being 1 inch shorter than I am, I can almost guarantee that it's like... It would barely matter. I just kept bringing the shine on that ketchup bottle down because I wanted to reveal more and more of the actual bottle. I think maybe I can actually reveal more of the tail too. If I just do the same thing as I did with Raichu, just take the whole tail and put it out there. Maybe a little bit of it is getting blocked in shadow. A little more. I don't like this brush for one reason, and that's if I increase the size, the particles like increase individually, so it becomes more grainy. And it's like, that's not really okay, but that's not really the intent here. Put some glow on that little bum on the Pichu. Shine up its head. There we go. Oh wow, it's already 10:40. So just before it gets too late, I want to thank everyone for coming by and just watching our stream, keeping me company while I finish up this image, which took way longer than I thought. I always think the sketch stage takes the longest in the drawing process, but honestly, it is line art that takes the most time, because you gotta make sure that it looks right. Sketch and concept take pretty long when you get stuck, but you know, you're not fussy with it typically. But yeah, I am gonna keep going for a little longer until I can get this all finished up. But until next time, I hope y'all have a good night if it's that time of the day. I'll probably put a little outline on. You know what? I'm gonna take away this part and be down here because there is light on the Rattata. The Rattata. There's light on the Rattata, so I can't pretend that there's no light at all down there. But I can certainly make it look like it's less. Maybe some on his foot. No, I like it better without. And oh no. Now this is standing out too much. Shoot. I guess I could just make this black. Oopsies. Because like the line art actually isn't fully black, so it's picking up some of the some of the multiply layer, which isn't what I was intending. I didn't mean to have to pay attention to the line art when doing this part. Maybe I can just draw some of it back in. I don't know. A little less is more. I'm gonna just outline here, maybe a little bit up here. The ear would cast a shadow, so cut that off hard. Da 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 da. 5'5" is crazy tall for a 10-year-old. That's taller than me. Everyone's gonna eventually guess my height based on how many, based on which characters I'm taller or shorter than. Line art takes me the longest too, says Wheeler. Looks like 5'5" was said somewhere. Can't find who supposedly said this. Most say it's the official Japanese height, but I can't find an official source for that. Someone who writes for the show, animator, voice actor. Ash is definitely not 5'5". Ash is like itty bitty. Have you seen Ash standing next to N? I know N is a lot older than how I make him out to be in my comic, but even then, Ash like barely reaches his belly button. he's like puny compared to him. Unless N is like 10 foot tall. And most other adults are like around about the same, you know? It's even more above average for 10-year-olds in Japan. So it seems odd to go with, especially since Ash is shorter than most of his companions. Then again, it's even weirder to be 10 for over 20 years. Good thing 20 years haven't actually passed in the anime, am I right? Didn't they retcon his 11th birthday? You said you're taller than 5'3" and shorter than 5'5", so that makes you 5'4". The truth come out. Lol, yeah. Yeah, compared to other characters, Ash looks 4 something. He's also ridiculously strong, too. He holds up a Pignite in the air without effort. Everyone in the Pokemon anime is, like, strong. Doesn't Iris have, like a really heavy dragon that sits on her shoulders all the time? It's not unreasonable to assume that even humans in the Pokemon universe have something special about them, some Pokemon quality to them in order to survive. Okay, what more is there? What else is there? Alright, let's give our Shadow Brigade down here a little bit of light. So it only really... Okay, so the light only really comes out here. Maybe I should... Nah, they'll be fine in the shadows. What else? Okay, let's see if I can do something quick with the background. Just something real quick. Let's grab... Oh, which one? Let's try the oil brush first. And... maybe something light in the middle. Oh, that looks terrible. Okay. The oil brush has a really ugly texture when you make it too big. Let me try Clouder. Maybe fire. Oops, nope, not fire. Clouder V. Let's see if this works. It's not great. Let's bring this back down. I don't have any good texture brushes still. I don't have any good texture brushes I can trust. Soften it out. And just have it down on a slight opacity. And then bringing the color out so that it's a little softer. It's not much, but let's see. Maybe what'll happen if we throw a little bit of color in there? What color would look good on blue? I don't know about pink. I don't know. Let's see. Screen will be glow dodge doesn't look too bad. Soft light is oh, that's overlay. Let's try screen. Screen is usually a little too much. Yeah, I don't like that as much. Maybe the middle part should be a different color. Let's see what else we can do. Maybe add a little yellow. And then maybe some white. I have no idea what's going on. It's like I don't know what the logic behind that lighting situation is. If I take the yellow, make it wider. And then instead of go white, do a little bit. I don't mind that so much. It's like the dawning of a new day. A dawning of a new era, in which lion and hyena join together in a great and glorious future. Let's see. I guess strength makes everyone in the anime strong. And I don't know if the 11th birthday was retcon because it's actually in one of the movies, so it's unclear if it was retcon or if the movie was just non-canon. I think it wasn't even in a movie. It was like in the Pikachu short before a movie, right? But they have. Okay, so how many Christmases have they gone through? Oops. I just remember like being so confused when they like open on Ash setting out for, was it Unova, and they're like 10-year-old Ash Ketchum, and I'm like, wait, what? Because I remember that birthday so vividly. I think it's pretty safe to assume that Pokemon world humans are at least slightly superhuman. I guess the strength makes sense. The humans use enhancements on the Pokemon, so they probably use it on themselves too. I mean, even without using enhancements, if you consider the effects of just normal bottles of water and like berries and fruits, there's probably just something, you know? Something in the water. with his lifting 6 logs out. Also, I'm just gonna have to assume that all species, Pokemon or human, have just evolved to have a heavy resistance to electrocution to be able to survive with electric Pokemon. Though did you see the like game theory episode that MatPat just made about how because air is such a bad conductor for electricity that it like takes out a whole ton of power from it, so the power that it's like shooting out isn't actually that strong anyways. Which I was like, but then what if they like latched onto you and then did the electrocution? Would that be effective? They never like talked about what happens if the Pokemon is like actually in contact with you when it electrifies. Otherwise Ash would just be ashes. Well, technically becoming ashes would be the heat damage. I'm talking to how it should screw up their heart and nervous system. I mean, he's gotta have some resistance to fire damage too. Better have burn heal. But yeah, the electrocution is more dangerous. Like, electric types would easily be the most dangerous type if released into the real world. Do they have burn heal for your insides? The amount of electricity it takes to stop your heart or send it into a spaz is so low, even the most baby of electric Pokemon could do it on accident. Speaking of the water, what are those fish in the SSN episode? Food. That's what they are. Pikachu has done that before. It does the same damage, but more consistent. Game theory is fun, but also non-canon. It is non-canon, but it is, like, scientific. You know? Like, they try to be as scientific, and that's the fun of it. So, they, like, based on the amount of volts that the Pokedex said that Raichu has, and then compared that to how many volts like what voltage actually is, and like real world voltage counts, and apparently it's like actually really low. When you actually consider it. It's non-canon, but it's a lot of fun. Especially when the source material like provides real world stats like voltage. And it's like now you're just asking for it. Okay, so I have the shadow. Gonna make a new layer, and I'm gonna try, I don't know where I'm gonna put it. Maybe from the center. I'm gonna try from the center and see if it looks good. I would do something like this. And see if an overlay. Just kind of warms everything up slightly, doesn't it? Let's see what the other ones do. Screen? No, don't like screen. Multiply. It's a little too dark, I think. I like it on the glass. Let's bring it down slightly. No, actually, let's bring it back up. And then, let's take a cool color, like, maybe blue. Yeah, I like how it makes the glass feel a lot warmer, like light's passing through it. Gonna maybe try to Oops. Oops. Something like this. Alright, and then as my final touch, I'm gonna take white, dab it onto a little bit here, a little bit here. There. Just really bring out that shine. I just realized I'm still not full opacity. Oh, I forgot about I forgot about this. I'm gonna raise that and just do a little bit of an outline just to make it stand out just a bit more than it already is, because right now it's not standing out at all. It needs a little bit of help. Maybe down here. Down here. I think that just about does it. Let me see. Zoom out a little. Take a quick peek around. At this point, I could go even further and, like, you know, get rid of some of these. Make the black outline where it should be brighter, a little thinner. Maybe put some, you know, light on the tail. Actually, no, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put some light on that tail. Just cause I can. Where is the tail? Okay, so refer to layer, expand, and just makes it a little lighter so it gets pushed back slightly from the ear, which is like the same color as it. There's something a little sad about the grass right now, how it is. I might play around with that a little bit later, like put some grass in here like this. You know, come in with some blades. Maybe bring this up into the character. Like this, and then maybe like I'll go in with some shadow probably, but that's all for a little later. I think this is pretty good for now. I say as I find more and more things to work on. I wanna light up his butt a little, because there is light coming from directly behind his butt, and it's not like showing on him at all. So I think having him a little bit illuminated from the bottom, maybe even up to here. Yeah, that looks okay. Maybe that's a little too high. I'll bring it. I'll play around with it, but play around with it just a little bit. It's hard to stop working on something when you're so close to finishing, and you just keep noticing more things to work on. Let me catch up with the chat real quick. Better than a burn heal for your insides. Those numbers are definitely wrong, at least in the anime. The thing they do in the anime require far more than 100,000 volts, and the electric Pokemon's attacks definitely far exceed the damage output of lightning, since most electric Pokemon are more benefited by the surge of electricity when getting hit by lightning than they are actually hurt by it. According to Urban Dictionary, Ash is around 4. I can see it. Yeah, I can see it too. He is a very small boy. But this is the image so far. It feels a little empty on the bottoms and on the corners. So I'll come in and play around with it before I post it. But that's the pick. Thank you guys for joining, for watching me draw and finish it. I'm so glad I got it done, so I don't have to worry about it during the week, except for like maybe a little bit of tweaking. But next week we'll hopefully have some more Pokemon to draw from the stream, and then we'll get to, like, you know, spend the whole time just coming up with character designs, and hopefully it'll be fun. But until next week, I will catch you guys later. Have a good night. Rest up. And take care of yourselves tomorrow. It's been really warm here where I live, which is weird because it's winter. But whatever the weather is for you, I hope you weather the weather. And we'll all be back again together next week. Rhyming. Keep your nose clean, everyone. Good night.